to a series of conversations called My Lourdes Story, where I'll be talking to various people about their Lourdes experience and what Lourdes means to them. I'm Joan Cahill, and I've spent a lot of time over the last few years in Lourdes, a place that is very special to me. I'm talking today to Peadar Farrelly. Peadar is from Navan in County Meath, and he has been travelling to Lourdes since he was a young man back in the 1980s. So you're very welcome, Peadar, and thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you very much, Joan. It's a great honour.
Can we just start off then with you, maybe just telling us a little bit about yourself, Peadar?
Well, I'm Peadar Farrelly, Navan. Dundalk Slane, come Navan. I've been probably going to Lourdes for the last 1980s, you say. I am a funeral director up here, family business here in Dundalk. I started in the 90s and became so busy now that we have staff and everything, so quite busy. I went to Gippstown School, and then from there I went to London to work. Ended coming back to Navan, I suppose, in the late 70s, and then in the late 80s met Adele, got married and have children, and went from there. That's basically my beginnings and so far.
So, Peadar, the first time you went to Lourdes, as you said, was back in 1985 when you went as part of the Meath, the Diocesan Choir. So obviously you're a singer. So can you tell me a little bit about that visit?
Well, some people would call me singer, somebody call different names, and somebody call me comedian times. But I've always had a sense of humour and a love of singing. My teacher probably in Gippstown School got the best of the singing out of me. She'd always bring me up to have a little song when to be down and out, and I'd often sing Lily the Pink for her. But in 85 then I joined Navan St. Mary's Choir, and Father, God rest Father Curran, was the conductor and the director, and decided then, well, it was coming up to Lourdes time, and it was their year to go, and said he wanted us all going. So, right, I said, now I wasn't long married and not two pennies to rub together. So that was the first thing I had to say, right, I'll go. Then come home to tell Adele I'm going to Lourdes. And she was a small child at the time. So anyways, we decided we'd keep going ahead, thinking that something might happen that I could drop out. But I said, oh my God, I said, where am I going to get the fare for this without leaving things stuck? But as time goes on, money just kept coming. I don't know where it came from, but it came. Our Lady of Lourdes wanted me there. And in the end, it was well as support. I don't know where it came from, as I said, but through Our Lady, she wanted me there. And we had a wonderful year with the choir, great experience. Then after that, I went on my own every year, then joined Meath Diocesan Pilgrimage, probably about 2 or 3 years, which would be about 88. And never looked back till that. But at that time, it was really hard to get money. And I often see people saying that it's very expensive. That, I remember even them times when the rent man would come, the landlord would come every Friday evening. He'd say, I'm coming looking for the rent. And I'd say, sure, come on in and the two of us will look. And we said, the two of us, you might find it. So the two of us keep looking. But it was that tight. Money was very tight that time, man. It was very hard. But once you went to Lourdes, it just seemed to, you just seemed to be all your troubles, anything just eases away. And when you go to that grotto, well, that's another end, as if you could be, as I say, you could be there on your own as you think, but there could be thousands of people around you, and Our Lady is one-to-one with you. And I do believe that Our Lady has been very good and kind to me with my health and everything. So that's it. Then, of course, I started bringing my own group then in Thanksgiving for all we got. And that started, I think, in the 90s. We used to have 3 plane loads, and then as things went by, I suppose, again, the recession started coming and went down to 2 plane loads, and then we bring a bus load now, which is lovely, but we have some beautiful times. We pray hard and we entertain hard too.
And you were going twice a year sometimes, Peadar, were you?
I did. I went twice a year, most years, and then I went 3 times. I used to go in February, when the directorship had organised their pilgrimage for their own groups. And then I went one year, I done the stage. So I done 4 times, but normally 3 times would be no problem. So yeah, it's my holiday as well, of course. I'm not a big holiday or sun man. because I can get everything in Lourdes. All my family have been there from they were 6 or 7 to come. So, they were able to come with me and enjoy Lourdes. They've seen it all from top to bottom. But I think no matter how many times you go to Lourdes, there's always something else to see.
Absolutely. And Our Lady keeps calling you back, Peadar, really, doesn't she?
Oh, my God, she does. She really... I remember one year this man, I said, he wasn't well, he was terminally ill, and I said, would you like to go to Lourdes? And he didn't really understand, but when he told me, so did the wife, and the wife said, oh, yeah. Yes, they were great. I said, look, we look after the wife as well, and we were putting things together. And next thing was, about a month before we left, the man took real ill and he couldn't come. So I give his ticket and his wife's ticket away to somebody else to use it up. Another 2 weeks he rang me and he said he was feeling better and could he go? So the first thing I had to do was ring the travel agency. Was the room on the plane, and there was room and a room in the hotel. So we had that sorted. So then now we had to get finances. So we decided then, what would we do? What could we raise some money very quick? So we done a coffee morning. Adele said, we'll do a coffee morning, but a coffee morning, doesn't bring in much. When we done the coffee morning, we had twice as much money left over. And the man came and he enjoyed Lourdes, and he was only home a day and he died.
Oh.
So was that not something for him?
Absolutely. He was meant to be there, Peadar, wasn't he?
Meant to be there. And that's the way, with loads of little miracles, if you call them miracles or whatever, I would call little things miracles. I don't look for big miracles, I look for small miracles.
You were telling me that one of the years you were there, after you got home with your group, that one of the group called you to say that they felt that they had been cured when they were there. Will you tell me a bit about that?
That's right. We've lovely people, that just are unreal people. One came, this man, his wife came, and I knew the man, and he was in pain all his life. He was a hard working man on the bridge. And, pain, you could see it walking. But as the days went by, I could see this pain gone from his face. I said nothing. I just thought he probably needs a rest, a holiday. But it was months after he came to me when we met up. He said, he said, as soon as I hit the gate, my pains went, he says. That was just at St. Joseph's Gate. Wow. And he said, my pains went. So I said, this is what Lourdes is all about. It's unreal. I've seen loads of people coming back and saying they have got these... should I say cures? Should I say just relief of pain or whatever it is in Lourdes? Yeah. They have got it, Most people will get their minds. That's the best thing, I think, for Lourdes. Lourdes will sort you out in here. Yeah. In the mind.
And like if maybe, if you have problems and that, you go home feeling maybe that little bit stronger to be able to deal with things.
Oh, yes. You definitely go home a better person. You go home very tired.
Yes.
If you don't go home, those times I came home, I said, I'm not going anymore because I'm too tired. I come home and they tell me I'm like a demon here for a few days after. But I'm just exhausted. And I'm living in a little trance. You're in a little trance. And then it stays with you. I have actually, my group, they're so good and they'd always do a little reward for me. And I just say, but anytime they got me something, I'd always put it into use. So I brought home a statue of St. Bernadette and Our Lady of Lourdes, and I have my own little grotto out here, outside. So, and this year I'm going over to it a bit because we haven't got the Lourdes, but we're hoping to please God by the end of this year. I'm hoping to go over.
You've got your candle lighting there beside you there now as well.
Yes, I have all my Lourdes candles that I brought home for years. I'm really, I'm way behind. So thank God, I suppose the COVID has helped me to sit down and light the candles, and we can say the rosary and say the prayers, and just in thanksgiving for all. Because Our Lady of Lourdes is really, anyone who's been there, especially in the Diocesan, when we meet anybody, it's like a family. It's like yourself when we go over and we get off that plane and we see Broda, we see Caroline, or we see yourself. It's like reunited of a family. We have a big hug, with big hugs, and and we just, once you leave here, you look forward to getting to see your family to the other side, and it's all just wonderful. Yeah. But it's a team effort too on the other side, because as you see, the guides, they work so hard, yet it doesn't look as if they're working hard because they love their job.
It's hard, isn't it, Pat, to describe Lourdes to someone who hasn't been there. I think people have a preconceived idea that you're praying all the time, but it's so much more than that, isn't it?
Yes, a good point there. People say to me, oh, you must be very religious going to Lourdes all the time. Or they might say to me, you have another woman over there. I said, I have. I said, but she's at the grotto. I said, she won't leave the grotto. And I'd say, if I wasn't a sinner, I wouldn't need to go.
I know.
So I said, you don't have to be a holy. I tried to explain that. I said, you come over, you haven't met anybody that hasn't come back home changed.
Absolutely.
No matter in what way. Yeah. And of course we have the little night session there. We normally have the competition every year for the Rose of Tralee over there. We run our own. Now, unfortunately, I have to say, the same lady wins it every year because she bribes me.
Good.
So we have wonderful fun and concert every night, not every night in the hotel, and then we have our own invalid concert for the patients in the Notre Dame. We have the patients up there that we put a concert for maybe the day before they go home. So we run as a wonderful thing because we bring everybody up. We bring as many people that can. People that's not well, people that's very sick, maybe people in wheelchairs, maybe people that, sometimes you can't really understand, but it's their day.
Of course.
We make them feel that they're and they live for that.
Would you have many sick people with you, Peadar?
Oh, yes. The Mead one was I think at one stage we're up at 250 invalids in the hospital. We'd have 250 from the Mead diocese. It's a wonderful, it's just unreal. Being in Barcardia was so great for me, but then in the end I had to stop because I got the heart attack. So I got 2 or 3 of those. So I had to fall back down. I'd probably give me a sort of a title of being entertainment's manager for the concert. That's my title. And I'll be asked to do that. Will you get the concert going? And that's still part, but it's not the same as when you're dealing with the people there, when you can bring them up the town, when you can bring them up and down to the shops, when you bring them to the grotto, when you bring them, it's unreal because they'll tell you the story, not that you need to know, but they want to tell you why they're there. Absolutely. They want to tell you what they're getting out of Lourdes.
Yeah.
And
you were talking about a Hindu doctor who travelled with you one year. Tell me about that.
My great friend, Dr. Surrey, he was a Mason man. He was a Hindu and a very, very wonderful man towards everybody in the town here. But I said to him, will you come and do doctor for me with my group? Because there was no problem. And he came for years. But the first year, a little bit of doubt there, a little bit, he says, but he comes to Lourdes anyway, and I take him down to the grotto at an unusual time, but we got to walk around. There was nobody around. It was an unusual time. I could have been maybe 1:10 or something. I know the time wasn't, but as he was going round, he asked the Lord. He didn't tell me this till the other side of the grotto. He went around and then the bell started ringing for some reason. No reason, like it wasn't time, the 15-minute, but he, as he was going round, he asked Our Lady to send him a little signal to see what's it. And the bells began to ring. They rang out there as they do. And he came back with a big smile. He said, I'll be coming here for the rest of my days, he says, because he got that little sign out to us. Might be nothing, but to him it was unreal. And he came at us until he passed away in 2007, I think it was. And we had, even on his deathbed, he brought up. But the first thing he done was he looked around every shop in Lourdes, every shop there is on the street, to look for a lady. He wanted Our Lady of Lourdes, but he wanted it to be perfect. He bought one. It was porcelain. It was quite expensive. But he went into every shop, and I knew them in the shops. I was embarrassed. But he'd go round the statue to make sure there was no rough edges. He said, Our Lady is perfect, and I must get it perfect. And, for a Hindu, it was amazing. It was amazing.
And isn't it lovely, Peadar, just, down at the grotto, just to sit there on your own and just, get a bit of headspace to yourself?
If you could go down, especially at night time, I find you might have a little bit more. I find it's quite... But as I said, you could sit there at any time, and if you sit down and put your head down, it's you and Our Lady. Our Lady and yourself. That's it. It's so peaceful. But my other nice place where I like to go is to the open air cathedral out in the City of the Poor. When I take my group there, we go out there for a mass. We have the 19 of the sick out there, which is very emotional. And wow, we had some beautiful times out, the sun shining through the trees, wonderful priests. Everything was just so, and you can hear the birds and you can hear the ducks and you can hear beautiful. Yeah. It's unreal.
And I know you like Bartres as well. I think you said that some of your group walk up to Bartres every time you're there.
Yeah, sometimes we walk up to Bartres and they'll walk home, and some will walk up, some will get a bus up for the rest of the group, and we'll meet Eleanor and Laron up there for years, and we have a good session up there. We get to have mass out there, and then we have again the relic of St. Bernadette, and we come back down and we have some Barry's tea and scones, and we sort of sing, and maybe we might have a little dance or something, you never know. Depends on the humour of the group.
Important.
Very important.
Absolutely. Lourdes itself, like, it is a place where there is a lot of sickness and pain, but there's also a great sense of joy in that when you're there, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. I think the fact that when you're there, especially with the sick, you realise why she calls the sick there. Because no matter how sick they are, they have a smile on them.
Yeah.
I have seen people so many times, when we are going, we can get up that morning, throw a few things in the bag, hopefully with a few tablets for them. But for the sick, has to get ready for a month. Yeah. They have to be trusting strangers to give them their medication. Going off over here for food, they're worried about their food. And they might get a little bit distressed for the first day or two. But by Janie, after that, they will be in heaven. Oh, they're coming back straight away before they go home. But to be down at the grotto, especially at the opening mass, and you just see the smiles. They could have been maybe up all night. Sometimes the aircraft can be a bit late coming in. But the next morning, they'll be down there and they'll be praying and they'll be just in heaven. You can see it, the excitement on their face.
Yeah, it is like a little bit of heaven, really, isn't it? Thank you so much for talking to me. It's been lovely talking to you. So just before we go, would you be able to leave us with a thought for the day?
I can, surely. Now, I have a little thought for the day. The first thought would be, what I love to think is when I get out of bed just to thank God. It's a very simple thing. Just thank God for another day. The other one is, we had a little... well, most students are sad, but this is a young girl, a good friend of ours, who passed away one night during sleep. It's one I'll always remember. She was a brilliant little girl. She was a little server, and her mum and dad and brothers, great friends of ours. But for her life, as soon as she could probably know that if when she'd get up, the first thing she'd say is, live, love, and laugh. So live your day, love everybody as you can, and laugh as much as you can. And that's what makes life, and I think that's what Lourdes is about. It covers all that. We live, we love, and we laugh. And just the final thing would be, this is something that I get good comfort in, maybe to share it. It's very simple. If you meet me and forget me, you have lost nothing. But if you meet Jesus and you forget him, you've lost everything.
That is just beautiful to end up on. That is lovely. Thank you so much, Peadar, and it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Joan. I hope it turns out okay.